What a lovely introduction. Thank you very much for that, Claire, and a big warm welcome to you all. Hopefully in the next coming months we'll be able to meet together in one room, but it is it is an honour that you've joined me this morning, so thank you so much. So Claire's done a lovely introduction. My name's Sue Gill. I'm the head teacher at Bridgeway School, which is located near to Preston, and I have the privilege of working with 56 young people who all have a primary need of autism with other associated complex needs. And we do very much here celebrate the uniqueness of all of the children. Absolutely beautiful. And as I've mentioned, it is a pleasure to work with our young people. Now, the first thing I want to say to you guys this morning is well done, and you're doing a great job. You know, the fact that you're logging on to this webinar, you clearly care. This is a subject matter that matters, and you know it is important just to stop and reflect and to review your journey, because clearly you're here because you work with a young person who has social communication difficulties. So a big pat on the back, everybody, this morning. And hopefully this webinar will just really reassure you guys in saying that actually you are doing the right thing, and you know you are doing a great job. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is we are going to look at the uniqueness of all of our children, and that's something that we pride ourselves very much on here at Bridgeway School, about developing well-being and self-belief. And looking at self-regulation, which doesn't have to be a complicated thing. We try and keep it very real here at Bridgeway School so that they can take it into real life situations. And it's how children communicate and learn to communicate with others. What we say here at Bridgeway School is that we reach for the stars. We are ambitious for our children. In fact, that's part of the school's intent. We offer a very personalised support here. And my belief is what we apply here in school is what we as parents and carers that you can apply to your young people about the uniqueness and about being ambitious. What we see, the impact of our work within school is we see that our children are resilient and they develop self-belief. They understand their own well-being through that self-regulation, but the well-being of other children as well, and tolerance and understanding, and that independence. So let's take a look at the first aspect, which is celebrating the real huge positives with all of our young people. And the children at Bridgeway School are all unique and all have huge positives and strengths, which we try and draw out. And I love that journey. I love that discovery with our young people. And I'm sure you're the same with your children. It's trying to find and explore something that may be of interest. Now, a lot of the children that we work with have got fantastic attention to detail, and they have that very methodical approach and deep focus on certain tasks, which is absolutely fantastic. And when I was first here at the school and I was reinforcing some of those, bringing in new sort of rules and boundaries, once I got into that routine, the children very much respected those because our children liked to have routine and boundaries. But also what's fascinating is how many of our children can observe and retain facts. And that's something that we can use in the future as well, in terms of we look at, okay, what sort of job could that lead towards? But also we've got visual skills and a lot of integrity. Our young people, your children, very honest. There's real honesty to all of our children, and lovely bits of creativity as well. And as it says on the slide there, just accepting of differences and tolerance of others. I've actually got some visuals here of some of the things that the children have actually made me and brought to me around sort of their uniqueness. And this was a lovely, I don't know if you can see this, hopefully, can you see that, Claire? Hello?
Yeah,
Claire,
yeah,
you can see, you can see. Captain
we can
Gill,
see it.
You can see that, just something here, Captain Gill. So lots of our children enjoy arts and crafts and lots of different things, and we'll come to that a little bit more. what we like to do is give our children the journey of that self-discovery, where actually they've not tried that before. They're a little bit worried about trying it, but we're trying to expose them to new experiences in that reaching for the stars. Okay, so let's take a look at self-identity for autistic teenagers and what to expect. I think being a teenager itself is really, really very stressful. I remember being a teenager. I'm sure you guys all remember being a teenager, and all those mixture of hormones. You know, hormones are in the mix as well. So not only does our children have social communication difficulties, but on top of it, they've got hormones. You know, how difficult is that to manage? So forming a self-identity is really, really difficult, and that's a lot of probably one of the areas that you're really struggling with, perhaps, is around your child not being able to self-identify, and it's particularly challenging for autistic teenagers. It's very difficult for children who are autistic and you know, growing through their teenage years to understand where they fit within the community and what their skills and strengths are, and that's where we take them on the journey. Okay, and that's again just to reassure you guys that sometimes it feels like you're really battling away here, but you're making an impact. And emotions are very difficult. Often when I'm reading young people's body language, I can see that an emotion has been dropped on their lap and they don't know how to deal with it, whether that be that they feel embarrassed, and embarrassment is a big one, that don't know how to connect with it. I feel this emotion, but I don't know how to connect, and I'm going to go into crisis. So it's how we try and work with that, and how we acknowledge that and develop the the resilience around that. And of course, children with autism find it harder to learn about themselves from being around peers because they're unable to make those connections. And they're going to have the usual ups and downs of being an adolescent, and that's to be expected. You know, I've worked with children in many different schools, whether that be mainstream or special schools, and all children deal or have to deal with the significant impact of being a teenager and what that brings. Okay, so how can we help our young people, and how can we help them develop their own sense of self-worth and identity? And I think one of the important things is to continue to talk around diversity. Okay, I mentioned at the start that our children are very, very tolerant and understanding of others, and I think just through talking factually about all the areas of diversity within communities is really one way to start that. To continue to celebrate the strengths of your children and their interests and challenges, you know, and always talk to them about it. What quite often with when I'm working with the children, I don't expect anything positive back. Okay, it's not about me, it's always about the young child. And how I'm trying to explain what I mean by this, it's never give up giving those positive messages. Even if you're going to receive something negative, they are definitely taking it on board, and they do really benefit from all that positivity. So I'm going to give you an example. I work with a lovely young Year 9 girl, really very vocalises a lot of things. Because I'm in a position of authority, is quite wary, obviously reasonably new to the school, but I never give up. It's always that positive, it's always that good morning, always how you doing, we're really proud of you, always, always, always. And recently, I didn't know how she's been receiving this, but we never give up on that. And then recently she went into the Lake District, and I received a postcard when I came into school, and she'd actually sent me a postcard from the Lake District. And that was a bit of a wow moment for me, and that's the impact, isn't it? And I'm sure you just see those little glimmers there of, yes, they really do, we are making an impact, and they do recognise what we do, but don't give up what you're doing. Of course, socialising our young people is really important, but it may well be that our children don't want to do that. They're quite happy to be on their own, but it is very important that we do try and socialise our young people and encourage them to do things like sport or going out and developing that better sense of their strengths and what they're really good at. We have a lot of outdoor education here. A lot of our children have never done some of the activities that we've brought in. But we had children who didn't really like going out for walks, but do lots of walking, cycling, fishing as well. And now they identify with that and are doing it on a weekend with lots of family members as well. Okay, all about me. Quite often what we try and do and what would be useful for you guys is to think about celebrities who are very successful, who've also had difficulties, and how beautifully unique they are. I mean, will.i.am is a very interesting guy and very talented guy, and he has a diagnosis of ADHD. We've also got the gentleman in the middle who was the creator of the Pokemon franchise. And a lot of our children, I'm sure some of you smiling in the audience, can relate to your children having a real affinity with that. But he's a hugely successful guy. Share that with your young people, you know, so that they can already start to relate to the identity of celebrities as well, and people in the public side of things. And of course, we've also got musical celebrities as well. Okay, so moods, emotions. Am I doing enough? The ups and downs. And I think, again, this, for me, this comes around to trying to support with self-regulation. And I think sometimes on the outset, self-regulation techniques can seem a little bit complicated, but we try and keep them real here. So I had, for instance, I had a young man, and he was always had this build-up of energy, and he was almost pre-crisis, and I knew that energy needed to be dispersed. So we were doing press-ups together and sit-ups to try and get rid of that energy. I had to let him beat me on the press-ups as well, but you got to do these things, haven't you? So we were doing press-ups together, and he kept winning, but what he was doing was getting rid of that energy, and that self-regulation. But I thought, right, we need a gym area. So we've got a gym area outside, and what that young man does, he does pull-ups now, and he's really good at these pull-ups. So if he's feeling a little bit tense, right, he's there and he's doing these pull-ups. But also now we're relating it to, okay, what about the gym? Okay, go out and do some gym work. So he's actually got a subscription on a weekend to a gym. And it's those sort of real life experiences that we expose our young people to, so that actually they know how they can self-regulate. I do it myself. I go running on a Saturday morning. I go off into the countryside, and I love it. Smelling that air, the hills, being with friends, obviously social distanced, and you know that's great for me. So you know what you need, and you know the impact it makes on you. And I think when a young person is trying to build their identity and understand a little bit more of themselves, you know, exposing them to new experiences is really important. And of course, during adolescence, you're going to have young people who are going to have physical changes as well. And how bizarre is that to get used to? All these different, you know, my body is changing, and that feeling self-conscious and embarrassed. And again, it's just that reassurance and talking them through that. Now, you'll know yourselves that sleep is really important, and it's perhaps underestimated by some. And I think sleep for our young people is a challenge, but it is very important. And obviously, it's getting the advice and support you can around that, because it does make a big difference. Good diet, physical activity. I'm sure these are all things that you're all well equipped with. Okay. And it is about expecting those ups and downs. As I say, I expect every day. I don't expect any of our children to be giving me anything during the day. We just keep doing what we're doing, and then we see those beautiful moments where we just see that we're making that progress. But there's a couple of things that you can do to make sure that there are more ups than there are downs. So you'll be doing it now, but it's recognizing and really having a minute just to think about what it is that your child really enjoys. There'll definitely be something there. Is it sport? Is it spending time with friends, or is it something to do with music, drawing, or digital content? So it's about exploring those activities. So we have a lot of our young people who love IT, so we're going to go and visit the headquarters of Google and all sorts of other places as well, and explore those interests. But also with that then, and I've mentioned this before, it's about finding new challenges and new activities. And I remember when I worked in a school before, a colleague of mine said, look, Sue, I've got a steel band. Do you want me to come visit your school? I was like, absolutely do. Yeah, I want you to visit the school. And a couple of people were a little bit worried. They said, look, you know, obviously children, autistic, steel band, noise. Yes, I know that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the steel band in an area with the doors open, and it's an option, it's a choice. So I said to all the children, if you want to go and have a look, you're welcome to have a look. If it's too noisy, don't bother, that's absolutely fine. And I would say about 80% of the school went to go and have a look. And they went to have a look, they just stood at the door, then they went in, then they joined in, and it was really noisy. And then the teacher at the end came up to me and he actually identified 3 children who were really talented at drums, and he said, you need to continue with those pupils. They've got a real affinity with music, and it's that exposure, isn't it? And that member of staff came up to me and went, wow, yeah, that is reaching for the stars, isn't it? That's being ambitious, and that is about, you know, thinking this may not work, but let's give it a try. Okay, and that's the way that the child, any child, can discover those new things. Okay, now obviously we can't prevent any of our children feeling flat or low, but we can do our best to make sure that there are more ups and downs, as we mentioned. And it is about that resilience and saying, helping them to accept that there are ups and downs in life. Now, one of the strategies that I've used is, once they've experienced a down moment, but they've managed to really recover well from it and strategize from it, I use that as my example. You've done this before. Look at that situation and you were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So let's follow those steps. Let's do that again, because we've got an example, and it literally is just one example there that you can then talk about their resilience, and then you get another example and you've got 2 then. And it's always really important to talk to young people about, you know, identify that emotion. So I can see you're having a difficult day. You seem angry, because that often children with autism can't identify what that emotion is. So you're actually coaching them through that. You seem quite angry. You seem upset. Okay, I can see you having a difficult day. As much as we need to give our children space and develop that independence, we need to stay really connected, and that's with any child, isn't it? Need to stay connected, and you know, pick up on those trigger moments, picking up on those ups and downs, which obviously hormones are going to be contributing to that. But you know, that is very, very important. And also the temptation for us all, because you know, we're passionate. We're all here and we're passionate about what we do. It's just to hang fire on giving the solution and just allow them to work it out and talk you through it. Because again, you've got that other example, and they then own that situation. Okay, so working together on coping strategies. What's really important, we've talked about using realistic examples and pitching at what really works for your young people. Now, I think music's a beautiful thing, and a lot of our children are very soothed by music. But I think we also need to be really mindful that music can be a bit of a mood hoover as well. You know, I remember listening to a particular band, and it was really sad, and it made me feel really, you know. But then when I'm running, I put something upbeat on. I'm like, oh, come on, and we know that ourselves. So we need to be very mindful of that we're listening to that upbeat, motivational music. And a lot of our young people have a fantastic understanding of the classic artists, Shirley Bassey, lots of other artists as well, from that era, which is absolutely fascinating, and they love listening to that music as well. Going for a walk, we use the field such a lot here, So, and great coping strategy. If you can see that your young person, you'll know yourself, is going for a walk, which is particularly important during the pandemic, is making sure that our young people are going out. And we just use the field area here where we say just pop out and go for a walk. One of the things I would love to have in school also is a little doggy, because science has proved that patting a dog is really, it's very therapeutic. And we have lots of animals here, and I'm sure yourself, if you're toying with the idea of should we get a dog, do it. That would be my advice, because the impact is huge. Many of our parents have made that decision to get a dog, and the child's been absolutely made up and taking responsibility as well, looking after that little doggy. And also a hug. It's a very sensory thing, isn't it? You can't beat a hug. And even if you get that little bit of a prickly response, they're loving it. Okay, that little bit of a hug, keep doing what you're doing. Sometimes you guys will feel like, oh, it's just not working. It's almost like you're walking and the light goes off. But keep putting one foot in front of the other, because that light will come on and you will have those moments where you go, yes. We know that during the winter months they're difficult days. We know that Christmas period's difficult. But you yourselves will also have ideas and examples of where you've tasted that success and how you need to apply it. And you are the role model. You are the inspiration. As I've mentioned at the start, the fact that you're here on this webinar, you care. Okay, you're looking for solutions. And hopefully, if nothing else, this webinar is just saying, you know what, I'm doing the right thing here. I've just listened to a head teacher rattle on a bit, but actually it's about the things that we're actually doing, or we need to get a dog. But yeah, you are the role model, and your child will be watching you to see how you cope in tough times as well, and how you work through problems and how you work through coping strategies. And it's okay to model that and talk young people through that. Something that we do here, and it's not to say you couldn't apply it wherever you are in your setting, is about celebrating that individual child. And what we do here is we've got lots of children where we've just celebrated all their differences, and I love the one in the middle. It's I am loud. Yeah, I am loud and I'm proud. I mean, one of the things I say to the children when they come here, and many of the children who've been here, who come through the door here, have failed elsewhere in other settings, and I say to them on arrival, you never apologise for being who you are. We are going to celebrate who you are, obviously, and that's one strategy there. Maybe you could apply something like this. Maybe in order to develop that self identity, you could literally write it out as a family, perhaps, or whatever it would be suitable for you guys. Okay. Now I've received, just before I hand over to Claire, I just wanted to share this with you. This literally came in yesterday and I thought it was a lovely card. Can you see that, Claire?
We can, yeah, we can.
Yeah,
indeed.
you can see that. Lovely. So it's a simple card, but it's a little heart moment for me. I call them. I'm like, oh, that's so lovely. It was sent from a parent. We get lots of lovely cards, and this has just come in yesterday. The Year 11 child's just leaving us, done really well, and it's thank you for helping me grow. And I think that's just beautiful. And I thought I'd share this with you this morning, because it may well be you're thinking you're at this stage here. But keep doing what you're doing, and you will see. We always see these beautiful flowers, all right, and you will definitely get there. And whatever you've done, your child is growing, and they are unique. And and we talk, as I said to you at the first part as well, the beautiful qualities. Just celebrate them, all right. So I'm more than happy to take some questions.
Okay, that's great. Thanks ever so much, Sue. That was what a brilliant presentation. So yeah, we are on to the Q&A part of the webinar now. Okay. We are limited with some time, but we'll try and get through as many questions as we possibly can. All right, so the first one we've got here is it's a parent with 3 children. The siblings struggle to understand why their brother sometimes does the things he does or struggle to manage the differences between them. Can you offer any advice here for managing the situation and help cultivate their relationship?
Right, okay. How do we know how old the other 2 children are at all, Claire?
No.
Okay. So it is about understanding everybody's differences, and my advice in that situation would be to really work with, first of all, with the 2 younger children, to celebrate the differences of the other child, and to the difficulty that you'll be having is the other 2 children will think that he or she's getting away with it. So it's about actually explaining autism and that the social communication difficulties, if that's at all possible, because I don't know how old your children are, but my advice is just be honest with them, and what you'll discover, I predict, is that your 2 children will grow to understand that diversity and other and SEN needs, and support others as well. So be honest, address it. Age dependent, use examples from celebrities, but they really need to understand what autism is. That would be my advice.
Okay, thanks, Sue. We'll move on. Yeah, no, that's great, thanks. We'll move on to the next one now. This person has a 14-year-old son with ASD who's struggling with his appearance and is developing an unhealthy relationship with food. If anyone passes a positive comment towards him, he gets angry and finds it difficult to accept. So have you got any strategies that you could recommend to help with accepting these comments positively rather than turning it into a negative experience?
Right, okay. So I would say, yeah, it goes back again to not giving up. Okay, so even though you're getting a prickly response, keep doing what you're doing, but don't make it quite so direct. So what I'm thinking here is not to be quite so direct, so it's indirectly reinforcing real positives. So we're all looking really nice today, okay, but also in terms of, did you say struggling with appearance, Claire? In terms of clothing, what was that first point?
It says who is struggling with his appearance and is developing an unhealthy relationship with food.
Right, okay. So struggling with appearances, I would say try and relate to something, try and get a sense of what that identity is looking like through possibly who are his heroes, who he'll have an interest somewhere. So maybe explore that. The unhealthy relationship with food, the more you talk about it, the more he'll develop an unhealthy relationship with it. So you know, the more you, as I say, the more you talk about that, the more it's going to be problematic. So literally just stay clear of it for a while. Make sure that there is a balanced diet as much as possible, just trying to think here. Just try and normalise everything as much as you can. Just leaving things out, perhaps, where he can just snack on. But I would say if that continues, just to seek some more professional advice. I mean, more than happy if you wanted to give me a ring at the school to explore that further. What we found here certainly is that the more you make a point of it, the more that it will become an issue. All right, but if you want to give me a ring at the school, I'd happily talk to you about that.
Okay, that's great. That's kind, that Sue. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to another question that we've had in. My child is in a mainstream school and I think they're having feelings of loneliness. How can I help them make some friends and feel just more included within the school environment, really?
That makes me really sad, really sad. And I'm sorry that your young person's feeling like that. Okay, so you've got a big mainstream, and you'll have obviously this young person's really struggling with finding where they fit. And my advice is to find something outside of school, something where they do feel that sense of worth and identity. And so there must be something of interest, and you know, horses or mountain biking or running or music or dance. Find a great group somewhere where they can go and make those, you know, for me, I'd rather have 5 great friends than just a room full of people I know. So you want to develop some real core friends to give that self-worth. So my advice is go out, find something that where your young person is really celebrated, and then you've got the opportunity then to really celebrate that. I'd also have a word with the school as well. I think it's worth going in, and the school should be doing something about that. If a parent came to me and said that to me, I'd be doing something about it, and I'd be finding something for that child in school, because your heart just sinks there. That, you know, that word loneliness for a young person, you know, your formative years are so important, and they make a real impact on you, that nobody should feel lonely. All right, so I would say contact the school, and also find something beautiful outside where they can feel their self-worth. Oh, good luck with that.
Thanks, Sue. So yeah, no, some great advice there. Okay, so let me just find the next question. And I think probably quite a few of the questions, there'll be some strategies that, you know, you're crossing over here, aren't you, that you'll use, you know, that you're using in multiple places. So I'm just saying we might have covered a few things, but I'll still ask the question. Okay.
Yeah.
So my child's at the stage where she thinks her unique qualities are a negative. She just doesn't want to be different. How can I turn this around?
Oh gosh, that's just heartbreaking again, isn't it? Oh dear. Okay, right. Again, it's very similar to, I see what you're saying, Claire, and forgive me for repeating myself.
No, I think that's really, okay.
It's really important, this, isn't it? You know, that's just awful. That's, again, very, very similar stories that are coming through here to the last question as well. Can we not get all these children together, all you guys in the audience, so we can have a bit of a celebration here? Again, identify with celebrities, identify with a group outside, keep reinforcing all those beautiful qualities, celebrate the success, maybe give us some sort of responsibility, maybe a little job somewhere. I remember as a 15-year-old, I went to Sainsbury's on work experience, and I was taken under the wing with a group of older ladies who just made me feel amazing. You know, it's thinking outside the box, isn't it? Because at the moment, quite often with all of these questions that are coming through, they're feeling lonely, and their self-worth is really low, because they're in an environment where their uniqueness isn't being celebrated, and it's about just giving them those threads of self-belief. And yeah, I'm not apologizing for who I am. I am really good at this, and this is going to be the job that I go into. Maybe looking at some groups where the communities are around other children with social communication difficulties. And maybe the lady or the gentleman with the first question with the 3 children, maybe that would be an opportunity for your other 2 children to go and visit that group as well. But just going back to this final question, sorry, not this, the last question here about that girl feeling so negative about herself. There's got to be something that you can find here where, you know, her face can light up and we can get that thread. Yeah, if you want to ring me at the school, you can ring me. It's just not right, is it? You know, we can sort this out.
Okay, Sue, thanks. Yeah, we've got quite a lot of questions coming in now, so we'll try and get through as many as we possibly can. Right, so moving on to the next one now. My 14-year-old son has just been excluded from mainstream school and is now in a provisional hub to await to see if he can get an EHCP, but he is struggling with the change. He hates mainstream and doesn't make friends easily, but now can't understand why he can't be normal. How can I help him?
Right, okay. I'm wondering whether wherever he's at now, could they offer a college placement for him, perhaps, maybe something vocational, maybe a vocational qualification. So he's obviously in no man's land at the moment. You're pushing for the education health EHCP plan. Keep pushing on that. If I was you, wherever he's at now, which I presume is it a PRU, pupil referral unit perhaps, is to take some representatives with you and to go and have a chat with them and see where your options are, see what your options are. Rather than, you may well feel that actually if it is an option that he could attend, everywhere's a little bit different, but I know of opportunities where they can go to a college placement and access that at 14. That might be something that would be of help, you know. And it's also saying that, you know, in order to be a success, you don't have to be go through school like from the ages of 11 to 16. So maybe lift off a few examples of people who left a mainstream school at 14. There are many examples of celebrities out there, for example, for instance, who left school either with no qualifications or school wasn't for them. I know Jamie Oliver has always talked about that, for instance, but you might not feel that Jamie Oliver is an appropriate person to talk about, but there'll be somebody. So start that conversation. Success isn't just about school. Success is about kindness, isn't it? Success is about being a good person and doing the right thing. So start on that. But I'd really zoom in and going into where he's at now and saying, right, okay, where are we going from here? Push the EHCP, where are we going from here? And keep fighting. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, Sue. We've had some questions and some comments coming in, which I think we can probably collect some information together and send in like a follow-up email sort of thing, because there's people asking for like books and resources and things like that. So I'm sure we can pull together like a few book titles and web addresses, and we'll send them out afterwards. We've also had a lady called Amanda drop a note in to say, you know, if people are looking for like friendship groups, there's a really good gymnastics group in Edge Hill which offers some really good friendship groups. So things like that we'll include, and we'll send in an email afterwards. Okay. But thanks, so thanks everybody for sort of sending those sorts of questions and comments in. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, so I'll just find my next question. We've had a lot of questions coming in about, you know, trying to build confidence and things like that. So this particular question says, I have two autistic boys, age 9 and almost 7. Both boys can be quite defeatist when trying new things. Parents always telling them they've got this, but it doesn't always sink in. So what can the parents do to get them to try new things when they just don't feel they have the confidence to actually give it a go?
Okay, I think you're doing a great job. It sounds like you're doing a fantastic job, and I think perhaps what you should do is just keep a little log of the resilience, because I would guess that actually they really are developing that resilience, but it just might be a little bit slower than and your worry may well be is it's a little bit slower than what you think it should be. But keep doing what you're doing, keep telling them, keep showing them. You know, it's just a bit of a wow thing coming into my head, but don't know how appropriate it will be. But I've just thought, you know, maybe doing something as a family, as an activity that's a bit out of the box, where I remember I went skiing. I've only ever skied once. I went skiing with a group of young people with needs, and the young person I was with, he's now in his 20 odd now. So I was only very, very young, obviously. But I was very, very reliant on him because I couldn't ski, and he was a really good skier. And that was what was fascinating, because I, as the adult, became reliant on him, and he helped me. And I could see how that growth and he almost confidence came from that situation, because he was helping me and I was the adult. it's just those little moments like that. If you could do that, but keep doing what you're doing. And as they get a little bit, as they continue, the 9 and 7, they get to 10. You compare that 10 to 9, you'll see that resilience grow a little bit more. 7 to 8, and just keep exposing them gently and reassure them, we're here. You're doing really well. This is fantastic, because they'll read off you and your body language and your positivity, and just keep exploring, going in the outdoors, going for walks, exploring new things. Yeah, go and have a little paddle in that water. You're all right. And maybe just work what could go wrong here, what could happen, what are your fears? Okay, well, you're all right, you're doing really, really well. And then go back and then talk about it. You were really worried about that, but you did really, really well. But keep a measure of it for yourself, just so you can give yourself a pat on the back, because it sounds to me like you're doing a great job there. You know, with the question, I can just see the way you'd considered that. You're doing it.
Thanks, Sue. That's some great stuff there. Okay, so we'll get on to our final couple of questions now. Okay, so this question says, my son who's 12 hasn't been in school since Easter and he's struggling. Sorry, the question I was looking to read is about, just give me a second, sorry, Sue.
No, it's all right.
I think that's one we've already done. Okay, sorry about that. So my 14-year-old is just diagnosed as ASD. She is refusing school, as has experienced bullying. She is also refusing to engage with online work. Do I persist with trying to push her to complete this?
Okay, may I just ask that, refusing to attend, is that right? Since Easter?
Says she is refusing school.
Refusing school.
Refusing school, so I'm guessing that's refusing to attend, yeah.
Yeah, refusing to attend. Okay, so what you've got here is very similar pattern to sadly to some of the other line of questions that we've had. You've got a young person here, bless her, who's been bullied at school. Who's really feeling very low self-esteem, refusing. Easter, pandemic wouldn't have helped either. I would say at the moment that online work is a reminder of that school, isn't it? It's a reminder of that bullying. It's an association there. So as soon as she's online, she's going back in there. She'll be feeling sick, feeling low, feeling that lack of self-worth, which is horrible, isn't it? At the moment, I would just put that aside. We've got 2 weeks left, haven't we, until the summer term. Maybe engage in some work packs, maybe doing some work, maybe just doing some BBC bite-sized work that is not linked to school. And just got 2 things really: building her confidence up, like as we've discussed now, developing that self-worth. You're beautiful, absolutely amazing. This is where you're going to go. You are going to grow friends. Just because that unit of school, it's making you feel miserable, it isn't the norm. All right. But also, secondly, behind the scenes, I'd be going into the school and asking them exactly what they're going to do about this. Groups for next year. Do they have a little area where she should go? They should be putting a plan. I'm sure they will do. Be putting a plan in place. So utilise the next 2 weeks to go into school. But in the meantime, just drop the association with school. Get her to relax a little bit. Engage in work that's not got that association, and just develop that confidence that she deserves, and that, you know, you are beautiful and wonderful, and don't let nobody's going to tell you any different. And good luck with that. You'll sort it.
Okay, so I've got a question here. It says, my 13-year-old has high functioning ASD and suffers from anxiety and depression. She struggles to engage with the strategies taught by CAMS and has recently told us she doesn't want to get better because she doesn't know who she is without the anxiety. She struggles with social interaction and new groups. Have you got any ideas here?
So what she knows is being in a constant state of anxiety, and that's an anchor to her at the moment, isn't it? I'd love to know if you had any pets or any. Do you know what? Do you know what's coming into my mind is I'd love to know if you've got a doggy or anything like that. something so simple as that, I think would be a horse or a dog, or you might be laughing if I'm saying horse, we haven't got room for a horse. Something where at the moment this beautiful 13-year-old is just exhausted with herself. Distract her, give her a sense of responsibility. It's almost if you put a baby in front of her, or a toddler, a family member, just look after her. It's going to take that away. And this is what I find here, give them responsibility, because, or a doggy, I keep going on about, I am a dog lover, you can probably tell, but beautiful creatures, aren't they? I just think something as simple as that hopefully would be a help. And you know, I hope you're not saying, well, we've already got a dog, or we've already explored that, but keep doing what you're doing. And for me, it's a distraction of some sort, something to distract. Obviously high functioning, there's that rapid mind, there's that beautiful mind. So, you know, give us something to decode that's just unbelievable. You know, give that distraction, because that mind's just working overtime on the wrong things. Yeah, hopefully I'm not repeating what the advice that you've already been given, but keep exploring. You can do it. I mean, you're talking here of somebody, if so really high functioning, you know, I would imagine is really good. Is she really good at IT, science? Explore those avenues.
Okay, Sue, I'm trying to squeeze. We've still got questions coming in, so I'm really sorry for any that we just don't get round to. Have you got time?
Good luck to that girl. Good luck.
I'll just try and squeeze one more in, if that's okay.
Of course.
So my 12-year-old son is awaiting diagnosis along with an EHCP. He's been doing online learning and hasn't been in school since December. I think the educational psychologist recommended a specialised setting for the education. Parents' worry is that in the meantime he's very isolated, but actually prefers being at home. Do you have any tips to engage him in outside activities?
First of all, in terms of outside activities, keep making sure for mental health and well-being that you're always going out, doing the family walks, the cycling, whatever it works for you guys. Keep pushing with that EHCP as quickly as you can. Push, because you need a solution to that, because you're obviously very worried about that social connectivity. In terms of socialising, again, this young person just needs to identify with a group of some description. And it's lovely to hear, Claire, that people are actually sending in examples of different groups. And if we can really give as much information out, Claire, so that families can explore that. I mean, it's a long time since December, isn't it? And of course, we all know the pandemic has really not helped things. Did you say, Claire, that the young person is addressing online learning or not?
Yeah, it says he is doing online learning, but hasn't been in school since December. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hoping, I'm kind of sensing from the question that actually he is home, he's home safe, and actually less anxious. I hope so. I hope that is the case. So, but you're worried about that social interaction and growth. So if you could just, you know, even with family members, you're socialising, aren't you? You know, we've been in a pandemic, so it's making sure that you're going out and about, making sure that he's not totally isolated, going to the supermarkets and things like that. I'm hoping that he's actually very happy where he's at. And it may be more about your worry about his socialisation than his. So gently, you'll be doing all the right things, I can tell. But keep pushing with that EHCP and get the advice that you need to push that, to get that specialist provision that he deserves. Good luck.
Oh, well, I mean, thanks again, Sue. That was so informative, and I'm sure everybody found it really useful.